In this video, I'm going to demonstrate 3 different methods for finding brands, and each method does have its own advantages and disadvantages, and I'm going to actually take you through these 3 different methods. Now, the first method is the most manual method, where you will go to a website such as this boscovs.com, and you will actually navigate into a category. And this is actually a good idea because you may already have a certain category that you want to narrow down your search to. For instance, you may be looking to sell products on Amazon, and you might only want to deal with the home category where you're more likely to be allowed to sell those products. And then I'll go to the kitchen and dining category, for instance, and now I'm in the kitchen and dining products. So as I go through these products, I can simply just record the various brand names on these products. And obviously, these are going to be brands that sell kitchen and dining products. If you keep a spreadsheet, you can either copy and paste these brand names over or retype them. Well, the product opened up, so I will just go ahead and copy and paste this brand name. And I'm only going to do this for one product, just for demonstration purposes. And then if I'm maintaining my list here, I'll just do copy and paste. Okay, so that's the first brand, Copper Cuisine, for instance. And I can go back and I can look at other products and record other brands as well. Now, this method, of course, is going to be a lot slower compared to the other methods I'll show you in terms of the number of brands you can get in a certain amount of time. However, you must consider that your brands might be more obscure, as not as many people are probably not as many people are going to go through this process, so your results might be more obscure. Now, the other method is to visit the brand's pages on a supplier's website. For instance, Zoro. This is a website that a lot of dropshippers have liked to use traditionally. And if you go to the brands page, you see that they have a long list of brands. In this case, you have actual thumbnails that you can click on that will actually take you to the products of each of those brands if you want to see what those brands sell. But if you navigate further down the page, you'll find they have an actual list of these brands. Each does have a link to the products for that brand, but you see an actual list with the actual names of all these brands, right, as hyperlinks. The thing is, you then would have to get these off of the page. You have to know how to scrape them. I already did that, so you can just download that from me. This is the list of Zoro brands that I scraped a few years ago from the Zoro website. And so you can go ahead and visit the description of this video for a link where you can actually just download that and a number of other brands lists from me as well. Once you just, basically sign up to be on my email list, and I'll just email you all of that stuff right away. Okay, so now, the other thing is Rake It In. Rake It In is just the same thing. It's a cashback site, but it's the same thing or same process as the online store Zoro, where they have a brands page. Except the difference here is that being that Rake It In is a cashback site, keep in mind, Rake It In works with 3,000 plus stores. So the brands that you will get from Rake It In, and these are only the brands under the letter A. The brands list you will get from here, if you go to each letter, is going to be enormous and is going to span many different suppliers, thousands of different suppliers. I've also scraped that list, and I provide that list as well, so you can go ahead and again subscribe and get a copy of this list. This list, the Zoro list, you'll be getting all of those different lists that I have scraped. Okay, so that's Zoro, Rake It In rather. Okay, so once you get a huge list like that, of course, you will need tools, and I do provide a Google Sheet. I did create a Google Sheet where you can actually paste these thousands of brands into this Google Sheet, and it automatically searches the names of those brands and locates suppliers, potential suppliers of those brands. It does that by taking these brand names and actually searching them on search engines, which then finds all the different domains or extracts these different various domains that are found when searching for these brands, right? So you can actually discover that this brand is sold on these particular sites. All right, now for right now, however, my focus for this video is really like how to actually find the brands. So let's look at a third method. The first one was the manual inspection and recording the brands. The second is simply just scraping a bunch of brands off of a brands page of different websites. The third method is actually a lot more refined. This is the most refined method, which is to go to a tool like keywordtool.io and to actually look at the product keyword searches. Look at the actual keyword searches and find the brand names in those searches. So for instance, I've typed in, now they have a lot of different sites, platforms. You can do Google's keywords, YouTube, Bing, Amazon, eBay, okay, all these different places, App Store, Play Store, Instagram, all right, X, formerly known as Twitter, Pinterest, Etsy, TikTok, right? You can go to all these different places. Now I'm going to take a look at, let's say, eBay or even Amazon, right? Let's take a look at Amazon, for instance, right? And I'll just type in shoes. And if you type in shoes on Amazon and you scroll down, you'll begin to see some different searches that include brand names, such as Nike shoes. Even if you don't know a brand name, you can kind of tell brand names, right? They tend to kind of stand out. Some searches do not contain brand names, however, so you will have to scroll down in some cases and find the brand names, right? There are more, but I'm going to go to eBay because I find sometimes on eBay, depending on the search, I get these brands faster. So here, Adidas is obviously a brand. Now, these are brands that I already know. Adidas, Asics, various more famous brands of shoes. But if you begin to scroll down, you'll see more and more brands that become a bit more obscure. It's important to understand that obscure is a relative term. It doesn't mean that no one has ever heard of these brands. It simply means that they're not as famous as Nike or Adidas, right? Where every single person on the street knows who Nike and Adidas, they know those brands. But if you were to ask them about some of these brands, myself included, I've not heard of these brands before. All right, maybe you have, but I haven't, and maybe not everyone has, right? Many people haven't, but then there are people searching for these brands, as you can see, Ferragamo, right? Sometimes I'm not even sure how to pronounce them, but I've heard of this though, Dolce Gabbana, but it's still more obscure than Nike, right? And so you can keep scrolling down and you'll see these various brand names. Now, as you can see, it's a very slow process to really go through and try to just extract brand names this way. And the thing is, there's not really an exact formula that I can just apply here to just extract brand names, right? However, AI does have that kind of capability. And so what I'm going to do is take all these keywords and copy them and use ChatGPT. Now, if you're not using ChatGPT, you should, because there are just certain things it can do that are really amazing. So I'm going to select these keywords, go here, and then click on copy. And I'm going to take these keywords over to ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is a totally free platform. You just go ahead and sign up with your Google account. And what I'll do here is say to ChatGPT, and you can be very literal. All right, you can just say, I'm going to give you a list of product keyword searches. Can you extract, the brand names from these keywords, right? So you can speak to ChatGPT quite literally. And once you do that, it's going to say, sure, I can help with that. Here's the list of product keyword searches, and I'll extract the brand names for you. Okay, it's very literal. So now I'm just going to paste that whole list. All I did was right click paste. I just pasted the whole list, submit, and ChatGPT responds. Here's a list of the brand names extracted from the keywords you provided, right? Remember Nike and Adidas were the first results that I saw, right? So Nike, Adidas, Asics, right? Build-A-Bear, A Tostoni, A Bathing Ape, or whatever, Burberry. So, right, clearly you see all of these different brands. Now, if we scroll down to the bottom, it's 73 different brands. So right here, you now have 73 brands of shoes that are searched by buyers, right, who are on eBay, people on eBay, right? And these are the keyword suggestions. Okay, if I go to prepositions, I can take a look at these as well. But these tend not to really, these might have brands, but I'm not. A lot of these they're a little different. Okay, prepositions don't have as many brand names as the general keyword suggestions tend to have, but it's still worth a shot. I mean, it's worth it to get as many as you can, so why not go to another list since they're providing more over here, copy it again, and why not just paste that in here, and ChatGPT usually knows what to do with this right away. So we can just put that in, and we'll get more brands. As it turns out, there are actually a lot more brands there than I thought. Now, there's a possibility that some of these are not brands. I mean, it could happen, but for the most part, it seems to be pretty good at finding these brand names. And the point is I can get these a lot faster than if I had to do it on my own. So now what I'll do is I'll take these brand names of shoes and simply copy, and I can bring them over and put them on a Google Sheet. I'll leave this one that I got from Boscov's in there as well, but just to show you how this is done, just copy and paste it. Now the downside, if you could call it that, of this approach might be that I feel that I have to do very specific searches, right? So I had to search shoes specifically, right? I couldn't really go as general as I could have gone with maybe the kitchen and dining on Boscov's, because, you know, I don't know that people really type in kitchen and dining, you know, and then they're looking with brand names, right? When people type in brand names, which is what has happened with Keyword Tool, they're probably going to be a lot more specific with the product categories. So you have to do just shoes for one search, and then just another word for another search. So you have to do like different words, okay, for each search, different product words. And so, you know, one might consider that to be somewhat of a slow process, but this is how you can get brands, right? Now, the other question becomes, now, I mean, separate from actually finding brands, of course, eventually you're going to want to take these brands and actually search them on marketplaces and things like that. However, the purpose of this video is really just finding brands. However, I do want to take the opportunity just to demonstrate that I do have this tool, which is the brands suppliers matcher. And right now I'm running it on a very long list of brands from Rake It In. So what I'll do is I'll just go down to the bottom here, and I'll paste these down here because I don't want to disrupt what I already have. And you see here that I have a list. I've just pasted the list of brands in here. And what this does is you'll just click match suppliers, and it will start to automatically, okay, the first time you run it, you have to do the authorization thing the first time. And oh, I didn't realize I was on a different account. I thought I was in the same Google account I was in before. So as you can see, I have to go through this process. Advanced, just go to brands and suppliers. Don't be scared by these scary messages that come from Google. You just go ahead and do what you have to do, and it'll start to do it. Now, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, if I might add. And also, it depends on the list of suppliers I have on here. So it's not always going to be perfect. However, it will, for a long list of brands, it's going to be able to find suppliers obviously a lot faster than if you were just to do this purely manually. However, for manual searches, you can do this. You can use this Google button, and this is still a nice organized way. So you don't have to use the automated feature. You can use the manual Google search link that I've put on there, and that makes it a lot easier as well for you to like kind of just navigate and see what shows up when that brand is searched on Google. All right, so those are pretty much the options for then trying to locate suppliers after you find these brands, right? But basically having them in an actual spreadsheet is going to be important, so that you're building a list of these brand names, and then using a tool like this is going to help reduce some of the work of trying to match them into suppliers. Another thing you can find out is if a brand name has their own particular website, which we can see in this case Dolce & Gabbana, that they have a Dolce & Gabbana website. This often opens up a good opportunity for selling products when they have their own website and they're selling it direct to consumer, so they're controlling the price at that website. And so, you know, there's not as basically the product is not selling at a lot of different places. And so you're able to just get the product for that, whatever price it is on their website, and potentially sell higher on a marketplace such as Amazon or eBay. So, you know, little things like that, this will kind of help you to identify a bit more quickly than if you had to do it totally manually. So basically that's it. Those are the three main ways to actually find brands, which was the original point of the video. So again, just for a quick recap, you can go through manually recording brands as you go through product categories on a website. You can use, again, the brands page on a website if they have a brands page on a supplier site. And then, and it's the same thing with this site. It's a brands page. And then third, doing actual keyword searches, which is really going to get you in contact with the more specific demand of brands that are being searched on different marketplaces. And so these are the three ways of finding brands. And basically, if you want to get these brands lists that I have, such as the Zorro list, Rake It In, I also have suppliers lists included as part of that. Also a copy of this system, so you can go ahead and run the system. Okay, these are all part of free resources that I have that you can get through email subscription. So you go ahead, subscribe to email, get access to all these resources. Let me send those to you instantly right away. And then I have lots of other systems that do other things that are a bit more involved, a bit more complex, that you can get in, that I get into in other videos. However, for this video, this is basically it. Just check down below, comments, questions, or suggestions. You can leave those below. Check below for links, and look forward to hearing from you or seeing you around in another video.